Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the regular Talk to the Entities live. My name is Lili Valkusz, and I am here to be with you all and talk to you about my little entity stories. I am a certified Talk to the Entities facilitator, and well, I am the kind of kid who has always been able to see ghosts, talk to ghosts, and well, let me tell you about how it is to grow up with entities. So, if you have ever met any of the Talk to the Entities curriculum, tools, you might have some ideas what it means. But even if you have no idea yet what I'm talking about, have you ever seen a movie where ghosts were displayed? And, what's your first impression when you think about ghosts? Well, how many of you have heard that kids are always very open? They have the gift of sight. They are able to see and communicate with entities. Well, I am one of those kids who had a very interesting childhood, to say the least. So, when you're an adult and trying to get your foot into the spirit world, learning to speak with entities, communicating perhaps with a dead relative or something, you look for something to identify ghosts as or with or through or as. But when you are as a kid and you just have these tools, gifts, capacities to see entities, let me tell you how strange it is not having any sense of separation, not having any sense of right or wrong. And actually, it results in a very funny thing. I had no idea when I was seeing ghosts. I did not know the difference between a ghost and a human being that has a body. So, can you all imagine a world where their separation doesn't exist, where you just include all beings and essentially unlearn all the conditioning, all the separation you have perhaps picked up from your parents, your friends, or your frenemies in school? Because I was one of those kids who were talking, to the thin air. At least that's how people perceived me. Even when I was a child, still unable to speak, form words through my mouth, I was able to just make sounds. I was looking at something, and my parents couldn't see what I was looking at, but they could tell I'm having a conversation. I was playing with my little cubes, and I was constantly just staring upwards, laughing, and my laughter was just spreading all over everyone. And interestingly enough, it changed at some point. So around maybe I was 3 years old or 5 years old, around that time, something changed. Thinking back, I would say I picked up on people's projections, expectations, judgments of what I was doing. I started to have a sense that what I'm being, how I'm communicating with everything and everyone just doesn't seem normal for other people. Therefore, I just basically started to shut down my capacities. Now, if you have any sense of capacities with ghosts, if you have any interest in the spirit world, you might have noticed that this is not something you can fully suppress. You can spend many years and a lot of energy and effort, like I did, suppressing these capacities. You can try to unlearn how to communicate with entities, but it never fully goes away. And what I mean by that, I was lucky enough to grow up with a mother who was not disempowering me. She didn't have the tools required to empower me, but she was not choosing to disempower me. She kept asking me questions when I would wake up in the middle of the night, crying, having nightmares, seeing ghosts appear in my room, and I was freaking out a lot as a teenager or as a little child. And she was always trying to comfort me. She kept asking me questions, which is something I'm still super grateful for. Because let me tell you guys something. Even if you don't know how to relate to ghosts, or maybe you have a child who seems to be a little crazy or not so crazy, just maybe open to the spirit world. The most empowering thing, in my point of view, that you can do is ask them a question or ask yourself a question. Even just start with a simple question like, hey, is this an entity? Okay, cool. Does this entity have anything to do with you? Why is it here? Is it looking for something? Do you have that something? Does it even have anything to do with you? Or is it just our preconception that just because we see someone or something, it is related to us? What if just because you see someone on the streets, it doesn't mean you have to talk to them, right? The same applies to ghosts oftentimes. Just because you see them, it doesn't mean that you have anything to do with them. So, when as I perceived myself as a child, I was super bright. I was shining like a bright beam of light for ghosts. Therefore, I was attracting a lot of them because I was very visible to them. If you're I was very open to the spirit world. I was always very open to spirits, and that made me appear quite bright to them. So they were naturally attracted to the light that I was representing for them, right? So I had a lot of stories when, we didn't have tools, we didn't know how to clear entities. We were just constantly reacting to my symptoms, my freakouts, my depression, my aggression, my tummy aches. I couldn't even move. Sometimes I had so much pain in my body, I was literally unable to move. And sometimes my parents had to carry in their arms and put me down somewhere because I just couldn't walk anymore. Sometimes I would walk home and I had rashes all over my skin. I was in pain trying to scratch it, get rid of it, just making it worse. And when we would get home, I would have like red, itchy spots all over my body. So I was always very, very influenced through my body, which was a result of me not knowing how to handle my abilities. So just, I guess you already have some ideas what it might look like if you don't know how to handle your capacities. If you don't have tools, it's easy to twist all these awarenesses, energies against ourselves. And our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are giving us information about everything and everyone, including spirits. Maybe especially spirits if you are a person like me who are very open to the spirit world. So, long story short, I spent my whole teenage period essentially trying to break free from my past, trying not to talk to entities, trying to suppress my abilities, completely ignoring all the voices I kept hearing in my head. And the result of that were very severe when it came to my body. Even up until to this day, I am the kind of person who cannot live without the tools of talk to the entities, because at some point I was unable to digest anything. I couldn't digest food. I had all the kind of intolerances that people talk about nowadays. I could literally not eat an apple and keep it in my body. My body would just immediately reject everything that was coming through it. And on top of that, I developed polycystic ovary syndrome, which is something that sounds very common nowadays, but I had quite an extreme version of it where I would just bleed constantly. And doctors didn't know what to do with it. They just categorized it as such because that was the easy way to handle it. I literally tried everything. Let me tell you guys, I never gave up. I kept going. I tried every single modality, every single medical point of view. I tried everything. And I made an ask. I was perhaps 21 or 2 years old when it was just too much to bear. And I just made an ask. I I didn't even know who I'm talking to, angels, God, the universe. I had no idea. I just said, if anyone is listening to me, I know I can change this. And if I am not able to change it yet, it means I don't have the tools. So, whoever is listening, just please give me tools to change this. because I don't want to live like this. This is not something that is possible to live with. And so I made an ask, and well, the universe responded. Couple months later, I was in my first Access Bars class, which is an amazing stress relief method that gets rid of all your points of view, even from previous lifetimes. So, hey, it's quite effective, quite dynamic. It's something I've never encountered before. And things started to change after that. Maybe like a couple months later, I was already sitting in my very first Talk to the Entities class where my amazing facilitator just told me, there is nothing wrong with you. You are absolutely freaking normal in your own freaky way, and there is nothing wrong with you. And just alone, this one sentence washed everything through me. All my doubts, all my fear, all my insecurities related to the spirit world, my capacities, my awarenesses, the voices in my head, it just washed it all away. And well, let me just tell you that learning to clear entities, first of all, created a huge sense of freedom and relief for my body. Me being able, and me just, I would really like to emphasize this because my whole life I've been brought to healers, I've been brought to shamans, I've been brought to everyone to find someone that is able to help me. And this was the first time when I met the tools of Talk to the Entities, when I was the source of the change. I became the source through which I can change what's going on with me. Learning to clear entities literally changed my whole life and my body. It gave me life. It gave me a chance at living a life. And I'm not exaggerating, trust me on that. I couldn't form normal human relationships. I was unable to even communicate with human beings like you guys listening to me. And learning to clear entities had started to change all, and I'm not joking, every single one of body symptoms I've ever had. Every single one of them. And you remember how I said I was unable to digest anything? I can literally eat anything, whatever I would like. This is literally a miracle up until to this day for me. I can eat anything I want, and even my hormonal system is completely transforming. I'm having huge breakthroughs, and seems like I might, after all, be able to live my own life and not be in constant pain. And sure, it might take me effort and time and actually like working with the spirits, because I seem to be one of those people who are just not able to live without these tools. And let me tell you, you don't have to live with spirits. You don't have to necessarily spend your whole life dealing with them, but you can. And I've never felt so much at home as to when I'm talking to my spirits, my little team, as so-called team, because we all have some spirits that are just here to support us, to essentially help us, guide us, and not to be alone, because I always had this sense of being alone. No one understands me, no one gets me. Well, I was just maybe speaking to the wrong crowd, so to speak. I've never felt alone in my life ever since my first Talk to the Entities beginning class. I realized I'm never alone. I realized not just I'm never alone, but I actually have capable beings, even if they don't have bodies, who are actually able and capable of seeing me, hearing me, getting me, and getting me connected to people who are actually capable of seeing me as well. And they taught me how to communicate with people, because I was one of those quite autistic kids who didn't really speak. I wasn't necessarily speaking any human language. I was meowing, I was like making grunt noises, like, I was refusing to speak for a very long time. And I would always get confused when it was time to speak with people, because I was aware of the words they spoke, I was aware of their thoughts, I was aware of all the entities around them and around me. I constantly heard noises in my head, and I just had no idea what's real. I had no idea what's true. And in all that confusion, I was unable to express myself. So, me starting to consciously using the tools of talk to the entities, talking to entities, changed my whole reality when it came to communication. I learned that what comes out of some people's mouth not necessarily align with their thoughts, feelings, reality, and sometimes it's okay to be aware of it. Because I was made wrong so many times as a child, being aware when your parents lie, when your teachers lie, when your friends lie. You're not supposed to know that, right? So imagine my popularity. I was constantly alone, neglected, shunned. I was always put aside because I somehow threatened people's sense of security because I saw them, even if I didn't know what that means at that time. And now I'm having so much ease with communication. Finally, I learned that it's okay to hear voices. It's okay that sometimes conflicts are there when people speak. It's normal that some people just lie, even to themselves, and it's not something that is personal. So, entities taught me how to function in this reality, which is a really strange thing. How can entities teach you how to function in a human reality? Even though some of them have never embodied as a human being, right? But what if the whole point of being in this reality wasn't so that you learn and try to, and mutilate yourself to fit in, but actually the whole point of it would be to unlearn everything that you were taught you have to be, you must do, and so on and so on. What if, and just hear me out here, what if the whole point of living is actually unlearning all that and uncovering what's underneath all that? What if you could be the person to ask yourself, for the first time ever perhaps, if you could be anything and anyone, who would you choose to be today? How would you choose to appear? How would you choose to express yourself? If no one had any obligations towards you, and vice versa, if you were the only person in charge of your own life, your own destiny, your own body, how would you like to appear? How would you like to represent yourself? And what do you have to say about that? So that's what I would like to invite you guys today, because growing up with so much noise in my head, perhaps someone maybe asked me this before, but I didn't hear it until I met Shannon O'Hara, who is the founder of Talk to the Entities. She was the first person to ever ask me, what would it take for you to receive more of you? And I was like, I don't even know who I am. What do you mean to receive more of me, to learn more about me? I don't know who I am. I just know who I have to be with my partner. I know who I have to be with my parents. I know who I have to be with my friends. What do you mean who I want to be? I cannot want to be. So if this is the first time you hear this question, just see what it stirs up in your universe. If you could be anything and anyone, just for these 10 seconds, indulge with this question. Who would you like to be? Who would you like to show up as in your life? If just allow yourself the space of not having to be something for someone, but for you. If it was all about you, who could you be? What kind of freedom could you play with today? And could you show yourself today? If just for this one day, if you can do me a favor and just ask yourself this question, if I could be anything and anyone today, who and what would I like to show up as? And are there any invisible, magical, maybe even visible friends that you have, that you acknowledged or haven't acknowledged yet, that would love to contribute to that. Even if you don't yet know how to perceive them, would you be willing to invite them to play with you? Would you be willing to just pull them a little closer? Ask them to be part of you, your life, you, the whole process of you becoming you. Would you ask these beautiful friends of yours, even if you don't yet have a clue who they are, what they are looking like? Would you just pull them a little closer and allow them to show you more of you? Hey, spirits, hey, entities, could you please help me? Show me who I can be. What infinite possibilities do I have available with you, through you, to find more of me? So I hope this question stirs up your reality a little bit or tingles here and there. And just please know that if any of what I just said today inspired you, maybe even triggered you, I don't know, would a talk to the entities class, tool, video, education help you on the process? If so, the Talk to the Entities website is full of amazing tools, videos, and I believe every single Monday, a new one of us is coming here to share their own stories, their own tools, their own perspective about things. So keep watching, keep educating yourself, and trust me, it is safe. It's a safe space to actually indulge in the spirit world. So, what tool do you require today? And if you could be anything in the whole wide world, what would you choose today to embody as? Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with me today. And I hope you will have so much fun playing with the spirit world. Thank you and have an amazing day. Bye bye.